working with one of my students the other day, just going over kind of like basic 12-bar blues stuff. And a lot of people still are a little confused about some of the things that happen in there. And so I started pointing out songs that he knows that are, we were working on Brand New Companion, a tune by Townes Van Zandt. And, but then I pointed out, at one point I did this. And he goes, oh, I recognize that. And that's part of the turnaround that James Taylor did in Steamroller Blues. I'm a steamroller for you, baby. Bound to roll all over you. Anyway, you get the idea. And it follows exactly a 12-bar blues pattern with this nice little jazzy turnaround, which are ninth chords, C9 and B9. 3 notes at the 3rd fret for the C, the 5th string, the 3rd string, and 2nd string. And then in the beginning, just kind of the normal blues shuffle. Going from E with a B, a power chord, to C sharp, to D, and then back to C sharp, and then going to chord 4. And then 2 more measures of chord 1. I really had a whole bunch of other things I was going to talk about today, but somehow this intercepted it. And when it's in the key of E, you can get a lot of mileage out of just keeping the bass going and playing notes out of an E7 chord. So on that first thing, I was just playing a B and a D on the 2nd and 3rd strings, which are part of E7. Then when it went to A, I took them up a whole step, making it a C sharp and an E to be part of an A chord. And then up 3 frets to E and G, to be part of an A7 chord. Blues can be kind of simple. Okay, wait a minute. It's April 5th, and it's Friday afternoon. I got a little late start because I got so caught up in a lesson that I was hoping to have finished. You'll see it Monday, though. It's going to be a project. We've done some projects in the past where things, I give you some bits and pieces, and then you gotta fill in some of your own. So that's coming up Monday. At least the first 8 parts of this lesson. Finally got finished this morning. Anyway, what happened this week? Another cool chord. When I first saw that Vanessa had done a lesson on I Can't Tell You Why, I thought, uh-oh, we must already have that lesson. Sure enough, we didn't. And then I remembered it was big, but we have some videos of Sandy working on that with Kurt from a couple of years ago, heading into IGC. So thanks, Vanessa, for filling in a gap that I left in the library. So yeah, great tune. Timothy B. Schmidt, who of course was with Poco earlier, and wrote some. So there are some great pre-Eagles tunes that you should check out from Poco in their early days when Timothy B. Schmidt was still there. So what else did we have? A couple lessons from Max. Max pointed out to me like a month or 2 ago. Maybe it was back in November, because I think that had something to do with an event at the time. And that was that we had no Aretha Franklin songs. Okay, we're going to change that in a big way really quickly, because I think Max has got a long list of Aretha tunes. So we came out with Think this week. And then Steve Miller, somebody else that I've sort of neglected for the years. So I got to thank both of my colleagues for picking up the slack and getting filling in some classic tunes. So Jet Airliner was another really cool tune of Steve Miller's. So, and what else do we have this week? Oh, we got a pack of Red Hot Chili Peppers songs out. So if you're interested in if you like your lessons in packs, that's the way that one is. That we have a new pack. We're trying to get one new one out a week, and it's just a matter of logistics. I do want to talk about one of the reasons that Steamroller popped into my head was because of a post on the forum that Daryl put up of Josh Turner, and who I was not familiar with. Was totally knocked out though, particularly with the blues tune. It wasn't quite bluesy, but it was a more swing kind of thing that he did with young lady Valerie. That was just showed some pretty cool guitar playing. And then the version that he did, the first video there with Carson McKee was his name, and they doing Sweet Baby James with some really nice harmony thrown into it, which reminded me that this year at camp we have Jim planning, the California camp, Jim planning to do a whole course on singing harmony, learning to sing a second part like that and make it sound really cool. So that was neat, kind of fit in with what we're working on nowadays too. Let's see, I also wanted to respond to a question that came up about Sleight of Hand. And that is, and I did respond on the forum, but I figured I'd bring it in here today. I figured a short video to demonstrate that it might be possible. The second, I guess it's really officially the third section. Let me think about this. This is the first one. Oh. That's what it is. I would think of this as the second section, and that's why I got confused when Cavi asked the question about the last of part 3. I think of it as part 2, which has got harmony. Speaking of which, la-di-da. Oh, that's what happens sometimes. So what's going on there? We have descending thirds from. That part's not too hard. You got to do it with the second and third finger. No, yeah, because you slide down, there's an F in there. Then we have 2 bass notes, an E and a B, and then that same third, an A and a C, sliding up to B and D, and you really have to do that with your second and fourth fingers because of what's about to happen. That we need those at least ringing for a second while your first finger reaches back to get this F. And what I do in that is then do that hammer on at the 3rd fret with my 3rd finger. But that can be really difficult. And so the question was, can I do it with my 2nd finger and let the D die? And the answer is absolutely. Anything to make it work for you is okay. When you're tackling a song, when you get up in the 9s, you got to make some concessions and not worry about it. So anyway, that's how that would work. Slide up with the 2nd and 4th, and then try to hang on to them, reach back for the F, and then try to do the hammer on with your 3rd finger from the F to the G. But if you don't, do this. It's fine. Anyway, you get the idea. Okay, I had one more thing I had to mention. Again, I'll be in Phoenix Tuesday night. So if anybody in the Phoenix area, if you want to come to the Bart, our good friend Bart Marshall has got the Guitar League happening there at the Marriott in, this is kind of like the northwest side of Phoenix, I guess. Maybe the Midwest side. But big town, as I found out there. So, okay, I think that was it for today's news. I should probably come up with something to play that I haven't done in a while. Had a discussion with a student this week too that came in pretty interesting. We got talking about a series of concerts that they did in Oakland starting in the late or mid 70s. Yeah, called Days on the Green, or A Day on the Green, and then usually it'd be kind of like an all-day festival. And turns out that the first one of these happened in, I think it was 1974. I should have looked this up. Should have checked my facts before I start blabbing. But this was in 1974. they had this daytime concert scheduled, and I remember going to it. And it was Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, the band, Joe Walsh in his pre-Eagles days as well, post-James Gang. Ah, there it is. And the opener was one of my favorites at the time, Jesse Colin Young. He had just come out with his album Song for Julie a year or two before that. And man, I played stuff off that album all the time. Anyway, it was a great instrumental, nice flute playing and stuff. I will put a link to that in this thread. So that was it. The Day on the Green whole series started, and there's a little follow-up to this story, and that was that this was the first time Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young had played together in quite a few years, well, 3 years, not because, but then I remember many years later I found a bootleg, a live show on CD of that day. And it was called "We Waited 3 Years for This," and it was really cool to relive a concert I remember really distinctly. I remember Neil Young playing a song, a couple. There was one called "New Mama," another one called "Human Highway," that it was a long time before those came out on like official releases of his. And I remember thinking every time there was a new Neil Young album, he's somebody that has a lot of stuff in the bank. I mean, a lot of tunes already recorded and ready to release whenever he wants. It's pretty remarkable. But these two tunes that got played that day didn't see the light of day for quite a while. But anyway, so that was a fond little memory. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna have to go dig up that album this afternoon and see what's happening with it. So Jesse Colin Young. What I was playing right here was a little bit of Sunlight, an album that just got. I told you a long time ago. I'm sure all of you remember really this distinct story that I started playing through my album collection in a bunch of stuff I piled on the hard drive in a car I got recently, and went through it alphabetically. Well, all of a sudden I got into the E's, and I had Elton John. What was up before that? Emerson, Lake and Palmer just after that, and then what was that thing for the Country Joe and the Fish album, followed by Elephant Mountain, the Youngbloods, that had Sunlight on it. So it's pretty neat to relive those. And now we're up to more obscure tunes. You've heard me play 3 others from that album over the years. There's lessons on three other songs from that album, but that was the title tune. Okay, that is enough. I'll leave you with a few mysteries and be back. Yes, everything's normal next week. Got a little bit of traveling I got to do over the next couple of months, but it will not affect next week's news or update. Just being in Phoenix Tuesday night. So long.